Now, in this latest omnibus bill, we got screwed. We got screwed in a couple of different ways. For example, campaign donations to political parties are now 10x of what they used to be. Multiply them by 10. They're so brazen. They're unbelievable. And there's many other parts of it that are atrocious, but the one that really got under everybody's skin, rightfully so, is the banks deciding that they'd like to gamble with your money again. So they put a provision in there which all the Republicans voted for, and half the Democrats basically voted for, enough of the Democratic Party that it could vote, pass. And to be fair, there was Republicans who voted against the bill. Now, it's not because of this provision. They voted against it because, Obama's executive actions on immigration, blah, 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 blah. I've not yet seen a Republican go on the record, go on TV and say, damn it, I can't believe they gave Wall Street all this money. From time to time, such Republicans exist, and sometimes they even fight back against some of the abuses of crony capitalism. I love to see that. I'd love to give them credit. I'd love it if they gave a speech like Elizabeth Warren did and that we're about to show you. Haven't seen it yet. Okay. But basically, the establishment, both Republicans and Democrats, decided, no. We're going to let them gamble with your depositor money. And if they lose it, it's FDIC. It's government-backed. So they'll get bailed out just like they did before. Now, the scope of the gamble is unbelievable. There is a derivatives market where they do Uber trading, okay, insane trading. The size of that derivatives market is $700 trillion. Like, you literally can't fathom it. It's not 700 million, it's not 700 billion, it's $700 trillion of gambling. And now they're saying, no, not enough, let us gamble with your money. Okay. And of course, Congress said yes, because they work for the banks. As Dick Durbin once famously said, frankly, they run the place. Okay, and that's absolutely true. So now Elizabeth Warren's going to stand up and fight back against that. Of course, she's going to get disdain from her esteemed colleagues for that. But first, let's show you what a real fighter looks like.
Many Wall Street institutions have exerted extraordinary influence in Washington's corridors of power. Citigroup has risen above the others. Its grip over economic policy making in the executive branch is unprecedented. Think about that kind of power. If a financial institution has become so big and so powerful that it can hold the entire country hostage, that alone is reason enough to break them up. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, with Wall Street insiders getting key position after key position and the kind of cronyism that we have seen in the executive branch. Enough is enough, with Citigroup passing 11th hour deregulatory provisions that nobody takes ownership over, but everybody will come to regret. Enough is enough.
Now, she's not just hitting Republicans there. She's not just hitting the Wall Street donors there. She said the executive branch several times. That's a Democratic president. And she is not pulling her punches. And she's saying, look, you keep appointing these bankers as your top advisors and the people running your policy. So it's not surprising that they agree that they should give away everything to the banks, which, by the way, the executive branch does agree to. Obama is the one who said to the Republicans, let's make a deal. Let's make sure that this goes in. He claims afterwards, oh, golly gee, I wish if I had it my way, that provision would not be in the bill. But wait a minute, you lobbied for it. You called House members and you called Democrats and you sent your chief of staff to say you are going to vote yes on this bill. You did that. And Elizabeth Warren is right to call you out on it. I'm tired of these Democrats pussyfooting around. Oh my God, but it's our Democratic president. Well, if he's taking Republican positions, he's not really your president. Depends on your definition of your. I mean, if you're just, hey, Democratic Party, I don't care. Yeah, I'm a sellout. Yeah, I want money, the corporate money just as much. Yes, then he's your president. Okay, but if you're a progressive, not nearly so. Now, here's a real progressive. Keep taking the fight to him.
Washington already works really well for the billionaires and the big corporations and the lawyers and the lobbyists. But what about the families who lost their homes or their jobs or their retirement savings the last time Citi bet big on derivatives and lost? What about the families who are living paycheck to paycheck and saw their tax dollars go to bail out Citi just 6 years ago. We were sent here to fight for those families. It is time, it is past time for Washington to start working for them.
To give you a sense of how craven the rest of Washington is, the provision that made it into the bill was about 80 lines on this specific topic. 70 of the lines were identical to what Citigroup lobbyists handed the politicians. They didn't even try. They were like, oh yeah, plagiarism, what name so? It's not plagiarism if I get paid for it. Okay, that guy paid me to pass this bill and we all passed it. 70 out of the 80 lines were identical. The lobbyists wrote the bill for Citigroup. They gave it to, by the way, the guy who introduced it was Congressman Yoder from Kansas. He's literally not been heard from since. Nothing on social media. I don't know that he's in a cave somewhere, but the request for comments, nothing. He has not responded to anything. What happened, Mr. Republican from Kansas? I thought you were proud. Why don't you say, yes, I stand for Citigroup and derivatives gambling? Why don't you say it? Oh, you're in hiding because you know how deeply unpopular it is and you know who you work for. Okay, by the way, the $700 trillion in derivatives gambling, 90% of it is done by the top 5 banks. Gee, I wonder if those top 5 banks have too much power, economic power and political power. She's right. There's not a single Democrat or Republican in reality among the voters. If you said to them, hey, do you want Citigroup to bet with your money? And if they win, they keep the profits. And if they lose, you have to pay for it through your taxpayer money. Who would agree to that? Nobody would agree to that. Yet our so-called democracy just said yes. This isn't a democracy. Wolf-pack.com. Get up, let's go get him, man. Let's get our democracy back. So now, let me show you who the enemy is. Lindsey Graham is going to go out there and go tut, tut, tut to Elizabeth Warren. Listen to this.
Let me respond to my good friend from Massachusetts. You're tired, you're frustrated, you're upset about a provision in the bill you don't like, you think takes the country down the wrong road. You have every right to be upset. You have every right to vote no and to argue to bring the bill down. So here's what the senator said. For these right-wing minority hostage-taking is all they have left, a last gasp of those who cannot cope with the realities of our democracy. The time has come for those legislators who cannot cope with the reality of our democracy to get out of the way. Those were good words then, and you should read them now and apply them to yourself. My advice, don't follow her lead. She's the problem.
I love these fake politicians. My good friend from Massachusetts, she's the problem. Really, you guys are good friends? It doesn't appear so. Look at how demeaning he is. Like, oh, I know you're tired and frustrated, okay? But, you know, please, let the serious people run this place. In fact, he literally said, it wasn't in that video, but this is a quote. He said, if you follow the lead of the senator of Massachusetts, people are not going to believe you are mature enough to run the place. See, if you were really mature, you would take donor money and then you would be their bitch, like Lindsey Graham. And you would know that that is the serious and mature thing to do. Well, of course, I do declare. Where's my corporate cash? I have it now. The mature thing to do is to go ahead and please them, pleasure them. So Elizabeth Warren doesn't want to do that. She wants to actually fight for Americans. That's why she seems so out of place. Do you understand that? A person actually representing you seems out of place in Washington because she's representing you. We've lost the democracy. The rest of them are representing their donors. Wolf-pack.com. We can do this, man. 95% of Americans agree with us. Money corrupts politics. 95%. All you got to do is get your local representatives to introduce it. Let's fight back. Let's get the amendment so that Elizabeth Warren is not the exception, so that she's the rule. Now, one more. I'm not done yet because I just love the ending of this.
Democrats don't like Wall Street bailouts. Republicans don't like Wall Street bailouts. The American people are disgusted by Wall Street bailouts. And yet, here we are, 5 years after Dodd-Frank, with Congress on the verge of ramming through a provision that would do nothing for the middle class, do nothing for community banks, do nothing but raise the risk that taxpayers will have to bail out the biggest banks once again. You know, there's a lot of talk lately about how Dodd-Frank isn't perfect. There's a lot of talk coming from Citigroup about how Dodd-Frank isn't perfect. So let me say this to anyone who is listening at Citi. I agree with you. Dodd-Frank isn't perfect. It should have broken you into pieces.
Damn. It should have broken you into pieces. What now, Citigroup? What now? You still talking? You want to reform Dodd-Frank? Is that what you want to do? Okay, that's my kind of representative. That's my kind of senator. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had a Washington full of Elizabeth Warrens rather than a Washington full of people fighting against Elizabeth Warren? I dare to dream. Dream with me, fight with me. Fight with me to make it a reality. wolf-pack.com.